Hello. Happy Tuesday, guys. I am Sharetta. I'm coming to you from the Shepherd's House Ministry, Pastor James Irby Jr. And today I'm going to be doing the Tuesday topic. So I just wanted to go in a little bit. I'll tell you a little bit about the Tuesday topic. It's just basically where we come on Tuesdays and we talk about different things. We'll talk about different things that can be in the community. It's all centered around God. We talk about different things in the Bible. We have a testimony Tuesday. So if you ever have a testimony that you want to give on a Tuesday, you can do that. So it's just a way of connecting with you guys, connecting with people all over the world, and just sharing the good news of God, the good news of Jesus, and just being very transparent, sharing some of the things we may be going through. You guys can always chime in. If you need prayer, you can always chime in and say that. Whatever. It's just a way of us to communicate back and forth. Different Tuesdays is put together. It may be at the church. It may be at home. It may be on ground, but it's just a way for us to all get connected. All of us with God, share some things that we may know, share some things we may have been through. But it's just really, like I said, spreading the good news of God. And that's what it's all about. So I will be the person that will be speaking today on Tuesday topic. It's so crazy because I woke up this morning and I was like, oh God, I just do not have it together today. I was like, is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? But I just feel like I woke up and I just didn't have it all together. And I feel like we never really completely have it all together. And I feel like some days we have it together more than other days. But some days it's just some days like, oh, okay, what is it? But then at the same time, we're so excited and we thank God for waking us up. We thank God for having us in our right mind. We thank God that we made it into 2024. We thank God just for our family, for our friends, We just thank God just for being God. And that's the good news. That's the good news that we want to share with everyone is God, the greatness of God. Even though we go through our trials, even though we go through tribulations, even though we go through everyday life, the thing about God is he never said that it would be easy, but we're able to make it through. And we're thankful because of it. We're thankful because of God getting us through the things that we went through. And if you're around people who say they've never been through anything, I would be very skeptical about being around those people, because we all got some stuff that comes with us. We're all dealing with some stuff. We all go through some stuff. We're gonna always go through some stuff. We're always gonna have some issues. But our goal is to get better. Our goal is to grow in Christ, and to become better people for ourselves, to be better people for everybody else, to be a light in a darkness when people feel like it's so dark. And that's what God has called us to do, just to be great individuals and do the very best we can, and to get better, not stay in the same place, not go around the same mountains, not be the same person I was last year. Growth is everything. If I'm not growing, there's a problem. If I'm around people and they're not growing, it's a problem. We're still talking about the same thing we've been talking about 5 years ago, guys, it should be a problem. Because what happens sometimes is we're connected to people, and it's stunting our growth. It's 2024. It's a new year. Everybody gets so excited. The new year, everything that they're going to do, the amazing things that's going to happen because it's a new year. But if our mindsets is not changed, we're going to be the same person that we was last year. I hate to say that. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. But if we haven't changed our mindsets and our circles and all of those things, this year is not going to be too much different than last year. And we go in circles, and we just never get to the next level. So we have to change our mindset. And this year, not only do we have to set goals, but we have to also implement them. And I was talking to my boyfriend the other day, and we're talking about not only having goals, but also having systems. I need systems in place, because the only way that I can achieve my goals is I need to have some systems in place. I need to have some stuff in place. And as a business owner, I always have these systems like, okay, well, if what happens is this happen. If I'm going to achieve this, well, what am I going to do to achieve this? What do I have to do to get to the next level? Not only saying I want this, because sometimes we as people, we want all this stuff, but we have no way of knowing, like, how are we going to get this? What am I going to put in place? I want this great job. Well, am I going to get up early enough in the morning? I want to be in the gym. Well, am I going to go to the gym? I want to lose weight. Not only if I'm losing weight, it got to be what I'm eating too. So if I'm going to the gym, am I eating right also? So we have to hold ourselves accountable, and we can't depend on other people to hold us accountable, for our mess. It's up to us. If we want it, we have to go get it. And God has given us the tools. We just have to use the tools that have been given to us. So all of that said, we thank you, Lord. We thank you for another day. We thank you that we're in our right mind, guys. We thank you for Tuesday topic. We thank you for Pastor Irby even creating a Tuesday topic, even wanting to reach out to the world and know how you guys are doing and want to be connected to you and wanting to just make sure that we can come together and just talk about the great news of God, and also that we can be transparent. And we thank you, God, for that. We thank you for anything that's feeding back into us, because we need it, guys. It's only Tuesday, and I'm like, God, please give me something. Give me something. Give me something that give me that extra boost, So we're just thankful, God. We just want to thank God, guys. Every day we get up, we should be thanking God. Every day that we are in our right mind, we should be thanking God. Every day we were able to get out of bed. Every day we are able to speak. Every day we're able to go to our jobs. Just everything is because of God. And we got to give him the glory, because we get sometimes to these positions where we feel like we too good for God. And I got here by myself. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. It was God. It was because of God. I'm still here because of God. I'm where I'm at because of God, and so we have to make sure that we're thanking God and we're blessing God. I fuss at my kids a lot because they just start eating, and I'd be like, thank God. Like, we got food to eat. We have food on our table. It's been times where I could barely put food on the table. So we got to give God the glory. We got to give God the honor, because we serve a mighty God. No matter what happens, we serve a mighty God, so we just got to give him the honor. We got to give him the praise. So anyways, let me get into the message, because I'm just going on and on and on. So the message was, where are you planted? Waiting on God, and God is waiting on you. So I used to hear people saying, I still do by and by. I'm waiting on God. I'll be so glad when God get here and I'll go to heaven and everything will be so great. Oh God, I'm waiting on you, God. So I'm not going to make this move because I'm waiting on you, God. And God showed me, God, I'm waiting on God. No, I haven't did this 10 years later because I'm just waiting on God. And sometimes I believe God be like, I know you lying. I know you lying. You ain't waiting on me. I've given you everything. I've equipped you with everything for you to be great. I've equipped you with everything to have that business. I've equipped you with everything to walk into your purpose. So don't go around telling people you waiting on me. And as long as we can blame something on somebody else, or we can blame it on God, then we never have to take accountability. So if all the time you're talking to people and they's like, no, I'm waiting on God. I'm not moving. I'm waiting on God. Well, you're going to wait on God until you die? And then you'll never walk into your purpose, and you die with everything inside of you because you've been waiting on God all your life, and God was waiting on you, and God had already given you the tools, and God ain't taking accountability for you not being who you are supposed to be. And it's because God has given us the tools to be all that we're supposed to be. It's up to us how we use the tools that he has given us. As long as we can blame it on God, it takes the blame off ourselves. As long as I can blame it on somebody in the family, it takes the blame off of myself. And the reason that we're going through is because we're taking no accountability. It's everybody else's fault. I didn't get the promotion because my boss did not like me. I didn't get hired in the job because they just did not like me. I didn't get to go to school because they just did not want me to go there. The teachers didn't like me. The people didn't like me. Okay. So what are you doing? What responsibility are we taking? And it's an accountability thing. And I feel like God does that a lot with me. I'm always like, okay, well, I don't know why they did this. And then it's like, okay, go back and look at yourself and say, well, what did I do? Let me take responsibility. If there is a place for me to take responsibility for my life, let me take that responsibility. Because I got to look at myself. The only way that I can change is if I say, okay, well, if this is not working, what else, God, do you have for me to do? And I have to always tap back into my creator, because sometimes we're running in circles and we're doing the same things over and over and over. And we never tapped into God. We never sit down and pray to God. We never ask God to make sure that what I'm doing, God, you are in this. God, is this the plan you have for my life? God, show me what you have. Connect me with the people that you have for me. God, my environment may be the problem. So what does my environment look like? Guys, 2024, we got all these goals. We have to look at ourselves and say, okay, did I try to do this last year and it did not work? What was my environment like? Who are the people around me? What does that look like? Because until we really get down to the root of this, every year is just going to be another year of goals and vision boards and no implementation. And we're in the same place and we're upset and we're blaming everyone else. This is a time, guys. 2024. We talk so much about it. This is a time where we look at ourselves. We have to look in that mirror and we have to say, well, God, what do you have for me in this season? And in my life, in certain areas, hold on one second, guys. Certain areas, where can I get better? So those areas that I'm struggling in, how can I get better? Do I need to take a class? Do I need to be connected to someone else? We cannot keep making excuses on why we are where we are if we're not doing anything to fix it. We cannot keep saying, I'm waiting on God. By and by, it's God timing. Some things is God timing, but some things is because of us. Because we have not done our part. We want a business, get up. Research a business. Get connected to people who do business. Find out how to start a business. Get an EIN number. What are you going to be? Are you going to be an LLC? How do I do an LLC? What does my business look like? Did I even take the time to write a business plan? You know, those are things we have to say. It's not going to just drop. We have these things sometimes where we're like, oh, this is going to drop down from the sky and it's going to be so amazing. And has it happened yet? Like, what are you doing with the tools that God has given you? So another thing, what have I planted? So sometimes, guys, we want all this stuff, but we ain't planting nothing in this garden. We want all this overflow, but we ain't planting nothing. And the Bible says you reap what you sow. So what are you sowing? Are you sowing anything? Are you putting anything in the ground? Are you planting during the seasons? Like, are you putting anything in your garden? What does my dirt look like? Am I planting my stuff in red dirt, expecting it to grow? Am I putting it in the right soil? Like, I mean, those are questions that we have to get down to the root of how do we get to the next level? So I'm planting in the wrong dirt. My environment is all shaky and all crazy. And I'm blaming God because I didn't get a harvest this year. I didn't get one last year. And God is like, what does your soil look like? What does your ground look like? Where are you planting it? Take some accountability. You're not here because of me. You're here because of yourself. And once we realize that and we look at ourselves and say, okay, these are areas that I'm struggling. But now these are areas in which I can get better. And this is what I need to do. And I need to implement it. And I don't just need to say it. I need to practice that thing. Every day I get up, I need to water that garden. Every day I get up, I need to water it. I need to be reading more. I need to be studying more. I need to get that word. I need to get it in my heart. I have to do this on a consistent basis. Because every day is something's coming. Something may not go right. And I cannot stop planting and watering my garden because of what's going on around me. As long as I blame God for my mess, I'm never taking accountability. And God like, nah, I ain't gonna take the blame for that. That ain't my mess. Ain't no way. Ain't no way you gonna blame it on me when I've given you the tools to be great. Ain't no way we're gonna blame it on God when we're just not using the tools that God has given us. Because of us just being lazy, or because of us just thinking it's just going to drop from the sky, or us believing that it's a money tree out there and we believe that people owe us something. As long as we believe that, we will never have anything. We will never get to the next level. We have to look at ourselves and take accountability, and we have to start planting in our garden, and we have to water that thing. And the great thing about God is He gives us the instructions, and it's up to us what we do with them. It's just like a manual. If they tell you this is how you build a table, you need to follow these instructions. Either you're going to do it with the instructions or either you're going to do it your way. You have to decide, and whatever outcome comes from that, you have to be okay with that because you got a choice. We all have free will. We have a choice. God gives us the instructions. God gives us the manual. It's up to us to read it. It's up to us to implement it, and it's up to us to take accountability. Right? And as long as we can blame someone else, we are the victim. It makes us the victim instead of the victor. As long as it's somebody else's fault, as long as it's what they did to me, as long as it's what I've been through, we get it and nobody's knocking it. We've all been through some stuff. We've been through some mess, but because of God, thank God for grace and mercy and covering because we're still here. So now that I'm still here, I need to work this thing. I need to work it every day. I need to get up and work it. I want a business. I need to work it every day. I want to be better in this. I want to walk in my calling. I got to work this thing. And when I don't work it, I got to take accountability that I did not do my part. It says the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in the field. You reap what you sow. What are you sowing? What are you putting in there? What are you putting in your garden? What's in there? Is there anything in there? Because if it's not anything in there, don't get mad if you don't reap anything. You reap what you sow. Whatever you plant, you reap it. Are you planting good stuff? Or are you planting bad stuff? What are you planting? Because we can't get mad when we reap it because that's what we planted. And stop looking at other people's garden. That's their garden. You got your own garden. Plant your garden. Your garden ain't going to look like their garden. That person may have tomatoes and okra and you may have watermelon and cantaloupe. What you like? What does God have for you? What's your calling? Because that's what's in your garden. You're not looking at what's in Lucy's garden or James' garden, Pastor Irby's garden, what he got over there and what the people at the church got in their garden. What's in your garden? What does God have for you? Because that's uniquely your garden. That's for you. So what's in your garden? Because you're going to reap what you sow. What did you put in that garden? Did you get up and water it? And the Bible says, guys, faith without works is dead. So anybody that's just telling you, oh, it's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. And you ain't doing no work. Sometimes we contradict the Bible because it's not what's said. It says faith without works. So you can be believing and believing and believing, but what are you doing? You got the faith. Now, are you doing the work for it? Or are you just expecting somebody to give you that because they owe you that because of this and because of that, because of who you are and da-da-da-da-da and all these myths about because I got this and because of this and because of I got to get it. They got to give it to me. Faith without works is dead. It's not mine. I didn't say it. God, it's in the Bible. You want all this stuff. We want all these titles. But are you going to put in work for it? You're judging everybody else because of what they got and what God is blessing them with, and you're jealous of them. But did you see the work? Did you see the seasons that they went through of no harvest? Did you see the seasons of crying, the seasons of sadness, the work that they put in? We got to be careful wanting with everybody else because sometimes we don't know do I want to even go through what they had to go through to get where they at? Do I even want to go through it? I don't even know what they had to go through. I don't know the pain. I don't know the struggle. So I got to be careful wanting what the Joneses have. I think that's what they call what the Joneses have. I don't want to be the Joneses. I can't be the Joneses. The cost is too high. The cost is too high. I can't. I can't keep trying to compete with you because then I forget the calling that's on my life. I can't keep trying to do what you do because then I forget what God has for me, what God has in store for me. So as long as I'm trying to be like you, I lose sight of the purpose of my life. I lose sight of why I'm here because I want to be like the Joneses and I'm trying to compete. And God is saying you don't have to compete. You got your own garden. Go water your garden. Stop worrying about James' garden. Worry about your garden. Faith without works is dead. I want what God has for me. What God has for Retta, not what God has for anybody else. But God, what do you have for me? You have to say, I may be here because of me. I may be going around the same mountain because of me. I have to be accountable for my mess. And I have to not only be accountable, but I have to fix the stuff, right? Because the Bible says life is but a vapor, meaning I'm here one day, I'm gone tomorrow. So I got to fix this stuff, and I got to fix it immediately. I can't wait and say, well, next year I'll fix it, or I'll fix it another time. I'm too busy. No, because God got this thing for me. And I know he got it because he told me about it. And he said, eye has not seen nor ears heard the things that I have for those who love me. So it's telling me that God has all the stuff laid up for me. And I can't even tap into it because I won't do my part. Because I'm always the victim. He gives us the word. Then we have to get it down in there. We have to get it in our heart. We have to speak it every day. And then when winds and storms and stuff come, we got to be able to speak to them things and speak to them and say, no, I can't stay here because God has something else for me. I got to get this word in my heart. I got to plant it in some good ground. I got to clean my heart out. I got to receive it because I'm telling people how great 2024 is, but I ain't done no work. I ain't planted no seed. So if I ain't planting no seed, I ain't got nothing. When it's harvest time, I don't have anything. So I got to plant the seed. I got to water it. I got to put more and more word in me, and I got to water that stuff. I got to water it because when I have a garden, I got a garden now, y'all. So I say I'm a gardener now. 2 years. So I'm a gardener. I'm claiming it. I'm a professional gardener because I said it. But I have a garden, and my stuff, when I don't water it, it does not grow. Like when I don't water it and I don't tend to it and I don't go talk to it, it doesn't grow. And that's the same with our life. We're not planting it. And even if we're planting it, we're not taking care of it. So not only do I got to plant it, I got to take care of it. Wait a minute. So don't just go planting stuff. Take care of it. You reap what you sow. Water that thing. You know, get that word down in you. And then in my garden, the crazy thing that I see is I mix my vegetables. See, I said I'm a professional, so I'm not. But I mix my watermelons sometimes in the back, and then I mix my other stuff in the front. And I got my tomatoes, but my vines from my tomatoes are going around everything. They're taking over my garden. So what I'm learning now is this year that I'm going to take my watermelons and my melons and stuff, and I need to separate them. Because everything can't be mixed together in a garden. That's a word in itself. Everything can't mix together. Some things got to be separated, right? So I'm putting my stuff in my garden, and I'm watering my garden. I'm watering it. I'm watering it every day. I'm feeding it every day. I'm getting that word in me every day. I'm talking to it every day. I'm speaking. When people speaking negative, I'm speaking what God says. I'm speaking what God told me. I'm speaking what God has shown me. I'm speaking the positive and not the negative. Because I need this garden to grow. And I know that if I put all these negative words in it, it's not going to grow. What am I saying? What am I saying to my garden? I got to be positive. I need some good people speaking over my garden. I need them telling me the greatness. And what happens when people, you know it came from God, because what they say start lining up with what God has already told you. And they start telling you the things God has already told you, and it starts adding up, and my garden is just growing. I'm pouring water on it. I got people speaking in my life. I'm speaking positive. And my garden just continues to grow and grow and grow. But what I don't do is I don't get this message and I get this word and I have a feel good Sunday. I call them feel good Sunday. Because Sunday we got this word. We finna have a good week. And that word by Tuesday morning, I'm finna cuss you out, period, point blank. That word is gone. Why? Because I did not study over that word. I got a good feel good message on Sunday, and Tuesday you already know what time it is. You know you're going to get cussed out. Don't come at me like that. Don't do that but I need to study that word from Sunday through the week. I need to read the word myself. I need to speak on it. I need to say what it says. I need to keep reading. I need to keep looking at the Bible. I need to keep studying. I need to get it in me, because just because I got a word can change my life, but I have to implement it. I have to try to change in some areas. I can't just feel good on Sunday and then the rest of the week is hell, because all I'm doing is getting filled up. And then I'm right back the same. I'm filled up Sunday, right back the same, still cussing this week. Filled up, I'm still going through, still mad, still my gardens, nothing's growing. My stuff in my garden is dying because I did not do my part. Not only did I get the word, I got to get it down in there. I got to study the word. I got to know the word. I got to speak the word. That's me watering my garden. I got to implement this stuff. It got to get in me. It got to get in my heart. It got to be able to block the naysayers. It's got to be able to block the negative, because not only am I going to get a good word, some negative's coming. So what's going to be at the highest? What, the negative stuff that comes, or what God has already told me? What people say should never override what God has told you. Because God is your creator. Ain't no way you can tell me something different than what God has already told me. There's no way. There's no way I can allow people to come and speak all this negative to my life, but God has shown me all this positive and has told me exactly what I want to do, but I take a detour. I stop watering my garden, and I stop watering because I'm upset now. Things are not going my way, so I stop watering my garden. It's starting to get the roots are starting to get brown. They were growing for a minute because I was watering, I was speaking to it, I was speaking word, I was studying. I was saying what I needed to say, and my garden was just growing. But then I stopped because these naysayers came in, because the enemy comes in, he comes to strip it and take everything that I've worked hard for, because I'm more into what they say than what God say. So what did God say? God says, I'm finna have this overflow. He says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard what I have in store for those who love me. That's what he said. And I got to hang on to that word, even when things look bad. I got to hang on to that word, and I got to keep watering. Even in the midst of my storm, I got to keep watering. Even when I'm going through, I got to keep watering. Because I got the seed and I put it in the ground, and God said, even if it's as small as a mustard seed, faith that's small is still going to grow. Let me keep watering this mustard seed, because God already told me that it's going to grow. We got to know what God says, because let me tell you something. One thing is, we should know what God says, because one thing I can tell you is the enemy knows. The enemy knows what God says. The enemy Jesus was 40, what was it? Was it 40 days? 40 days, 40 nights? But anyways, he took him, basically he was in the wilderness, and the devil tried to tell him about, I can give you this and I can give you that and I can this and this. And do you know who my Father is? You know, Jesus is like, no, I'm at my very worst, but do you know who my Father is? Ain't no way you can offer me something that's already mine. The devil can't give you anything more than what God can give you, because God is the creator. We have to remember that. So all these great things, and the enemy puts us on top of the mountain, and he lets us see all these beautiful things, and I'll give you all of these if you bow down to me. I can't bow down to you, because I'm connected to God. He's my Father. He's the creator, and you can never give me more than God. Ever. So why would I sell out myself to the devil? Because my creator has it all. And my creator said he's going to give me even more than what I could ever even fathom to imagine. It's no way. I got to be connected to my Father. It makes no sense for me not to be. You know? So we just got to be careful of people that comes into my garden. No, wait, let me put this in your garden. No. This is my garden. This between me and God. This me and God right here. You can't plant nothing in my garden, because I'm planting what God has told me to plant. Right? So we have to remember that. We got to remember that. Don't let people come in and con you out of your blessing. Don't let people come in and talk you out of the greatness that God has on your life. Don't have people come in and stop you from watering your garden. You about to get some overflow. You about to have some overflow. Your life is about to take off, period. So you got to be careful for those people that's coming in and try to stop the blessing that God has on your life. God says he has more than you can even think about, more than your friends could think about, more than your pastor could think about. I got something hooked up for you. But you got to water that garden. You got to do your part, and you got to stop blaming other people. Right? A mustard seed. Faith as small as a mustard seed, guys. That's so small. That mustard seed. That's all he asks. I got to have that faith. And how can the devil trick us all the time by offering us stuff that's already ours anyway? Like, it's like you take my car and then you try to sell it back to me. No. I'm connected to the Father. You're going to give me more than a father? That's not even possible. Like, if I'm trying to make it make sense, how can the devil give me more than what God can give me? And God is the creator of all things. So I'm over here hooked up with the devil, not realizing who my Father is. I'm not even realizing what God says about me, but the devil is. The devil know what God said about me. That's why he's trying to keep me in this bondage, and he's trying to keep me hostage, because he don't want me to be who God has called me to be. He want me to miss my calling. He want me to miss it. And if the devil can get you to believe a lie, he can destroy your whole life. And he's done it to us plenty times. We've jumped right off. We've jumped right off into what the devil has told us time and time again. We've jumped right off, and we believed it, and we believed the lie. And it has slowed us down. But that's okay. It's okay. It slowed us down, but now we're back up. So what are we going to do? Are we going to keep getting slowed down and keep falling? Or we're going to say, okay, God, what did you say now? Okay, I done this my way. My garden's dying over here. I ain't watering it. I'm believing these lies, so I stopped watering it. And it's okay. Let's clear this garden out and let's replant again. That's the great thing. Let's throw some more seeds in there. Let's water them things. Let's put them in some good ground. What's in your garden? What is planted? Are you watering it? Because bad talk can kill it. Because not only in my garden, guys, do I have a garden, but I have these weeds, and I have grass, and I have all these things, and it comes up and it tries to wrap itself around my fruits, and my tomatoes start to get ready to look good, and my cucumbers, and then these little roots come, these little, I call them weeds and grass and all this coming. It tries to kill my garden. And this reminds me of people. I got all this stuff going for me, and I see all God's greatness, and they start talking this negativity, and they start being the weeds and the twigs and the weeds that are trying to kill my garden. And I have to, you know what I have to do? I have to kill them. Meaning I have to get rid of them. I have to let them go. I have to move them out of my garden, because if I leave them in my garden too long, they're going to kill my garden. And see, if I leave these people in my life too long, they're going to kill the calling on my life. They're going to kill my business. They're going to kill my future. They're going to kill what God has already said is mine. So I got to quickly get my hoe, and I have to quickly start pulling, and I have to start getting these weeds out of my garden, because I cannot allow you to stop what God is doing, because I've already not had nothing. So now God is blessing me with something, and I can't go back to nothing, because God says he has more for me. So it makes no sense for me to try to go backwards. So I got to get you out of here, because you can't see the vision. You can't see the plan. You don't understand the calling. And I got to get these weeds out my garden, guys. Are you taking the weeds out your garden? If you're not, there's a problem. You got to get them out of there. I've been here too long. Ain't no way I'm gonna let somebody else keep me here. Ain't no way I'm gonna let somebody else cause me to go backwards. If I'm gonna go backwards, I need to do it on myself, by myself. I don't need to let people come in my life and cause me to detour from my calling, to detour from what God has called me to do, to stop my business from running. I cannot allow it. It's no way. I've come too far, guys. You've come too far to allow someone else to destroy your garden. I can't stay here, because what I'm seeing is not what God is telling me. It's contradicting what my Father has told me, and I cannot stay here, because it feels like insanity, because God has told me something different. I got to pull these grass. I got to get these weeds out of my garden, because it's strangling my crops. And you see, in 2024, I'm going to have a harvest no matter what it takes. My garden is going to grow. I can't go into another year and have no harvest. I can't be in another year, because God says he has all this for me, but it's not lining up, because I'm not doing my part, and I'm allowing these people to come in and strangle all of my crops, and my crops are dying. That's not what God has for me. I got to clean out my garden. I have to remove. I got to dig some stuff up. And even if I have to start over, it's the beginning of the year. I got some time. It's still February. I got some time. Let me go on and dig this garden up. Let me start all over. Let me plant some new seeds. If I have to dig everything up, I'm going to do it. Because my garden, I got to get my harvest this year. I got to get what God has for me this year. I can't wait and say, well, it's not a maybe next year. Tomorrow's not promised. Life is but a vapor. I need it this year. So what do I need to implement, God? What am I not listening to? What do I need to do better? Because I got to get this garden growing. It's got to grow. It's got to give overflow. I'm depending on this garden. And you see, God says I will have an overflow of crops. And if he's telling me this, all I got to do is do my part. So move out my way. I got to water this garden. I got to water this garden every day. I can't play this year. This is not the year for playing. This is the year for overflow. I can't play this year because God has a calling on my life, see? And see, this garden, it has to grow, see? Because God has already told me if I do my part, he's going to do his part. And overflow is coming. And eye has not seen, ears not heard what he has in store for me. So I got to water my garden, and I got to take all this mess out my garden, and I got to listen to God, and I got to get some word. Because when the enemy comes, I need something. I need some weapons. I need something. And this word is a good weapon. I can slay many with this word. So I got to get something down in me. I got to have a good garden this year, guys. I got to do my part. I can't blame everybody else. I got to take accountability for my mess. And I got to plant a good garden. I got to water a good garden. I got to take the negativity out the garden. I got to take all the bad stuff out the garden. I can't allow the stuff to come into my garden as it's growing and to destroy my garden. When God says I got overflow and this is your year, I got to do my part. I can't blame God. I can't be the victim. I got to be the victor this year. Time waits for no one. I got to walk into this thing. I got to plant my garden. I got to plant it. I got to water it. I got to stay over it. I got to speak word over it. I got to watch who comes into it. I got to watch the environment. I got to watch the dirt that I'm planting it in. All of this I got to do because I got to take care of this garden, because this garden is about to bring some overflow into my life. And I feel like God is saying this garden is about to bring some overflow in your life. But if you do not do your part in 2025, we will have the same conversation again, and you will be in the same place, and you will never get anywhere else until you do your part. Faith without works is dead. If anybody has told you something else, it's against the word. We got to do our part. We got to stop blaming everybody else. God says it's in you. What I have for you is in you. Speak to it. Bring it out. Do your part. You want the business? Go dress up. Show up. Show up. Show out. Do the business plan. Do your part. Get up. The plan that God has for your life is bigger than you can imagine. Some of us are sitting in the same places and we're struggling. And God is just like, wow, can you not listen? Can you not understand what I have for you? Overflow. 2024, you can say it all year that it's going to be your year. And if you do nothing, you will still be sitting in the same place in 2025, period, point blank. You can speak that all day. And if you're not doing your part, you're going to stay there. And it's not God's part. We're not waiting on God. God is waiting on us. We're not waiting on God. He's waiting on us. And what do you have planted in your garden? Lord, I just thank you. I just thank you for allowing us to plant in our garden, to allowing us to have the seed, to allowing us to have the word, Lord. I just pray for strength, Lord, in 2024, that we see you and we believe more what you're saying versus what everybody else is saying. And anything that's in our garden that's not what you have for us to have in our garden, Lord, I ask you to remove it immediately. And I ask you to give us strength so when the storms come and the winds come and stuff come and try to take my garden, God, that you show up and that you show out. But not only that, that I know what's in me, that I know I can pray over my garden. I know that I can water my garden. And I know, because your word says it, that my garden will grow. And not only will it grow, but there will be overflow in my garden. Lord, I thank you. I thank you for everybody on this live. I thank you for everybody all over the world that are watching. I pray for their families, God. Lord, I pray for my family. I pray for our church family. Lord, I just ask you to be with us. Lord, be our guide and let us plant the things that you have in our garden, but let us do our part. In Jesus' name, I pray. Thank you, ladies. Remember, I am Retta. Remember to be that chick. I love you. God loves you so much more. Have a great Tuesday on purpose. And what are you planting in your garden?